What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Today is a very good show with a good friend of mine, Derek Kearney. He and I met in Season 7, Winter Warrior, now Train Alta. We had a great chat about Alta. We talk about drugs, alcohol, addiction, overcoming that, and how Alta has helped with all that. We talk about our love for BJJ. Just a bunch of stuff. Look, I don't want to give it all away. Check it out. Hopefully I've done a better job bookmarking this podcast than I have on the others. But before I go, because I always forget, our number one sponsor, Locomotiva BJJ, located in Milltown here in Dublin. It's a great spot, headed by a fantastic brown belt, Edson Jr. He's brown belt under John Kavanaugh at SPGHQ. So you know you're getting a good education when you go there. It's a great spot, brand new, gym just opened. It's always, the mats are always full when I go there. And I'm so happy to see that because it is a wonderful spot, and I love Edson so much, and I'm so happy for him, and I just want everyone to go there and check it out. Even if you're not gonna, become a member of the gym, but just go there, hang out, check it out. He'd be more than happy to have you. But at very least, do me the favor and go to his Instagram page, Locomotiva_Jiu-Jitsu. Everything's linked below. Just give them a follow. On top of that, Wolverine Fightwear. Do the same. Give us a follow at Wolverine Fightwear on Instagram. That's my company, and what I try to do with that company is bring quality clothing and streetwear related to jiu-jitsu and MMA and just the world of combat sports. So check it out. I got new products coming out all the time, and if you ever want something specific or want something that I have on the in the store, you want to customize, let me know. But be able to do, I more than likely be able to do something for you. All right, so without any further ado, here we go. Let's get into it.
And here we go, 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 go,
Welcome back, everyone, to Combat Confidential. So today is... All right, hold on, let me redo that.
Take two,
yeah. All right, everyone, welcome back to... I have here Mr. Derek Kearney. Kearney, right? I said that correctly?
Kearney.
Like
a carnival worker. Close enough.
Okay. I always ask people how to say their names. I don't know why. Half the time it could be something simple like Smith, and I still say it wrong.
It's just being polite.
Yeah, but anyway, so Derek, you and I know each other from Winter Warrior.
We do.
We're now Train Alta. That was... It feels like just yesterday almost, but it was what? It's 2.5-ish. Is it coming up on 3 years or coming up on 2 years?
Coming up on 2 years. So
is it? Oh, okay.
It was July 21 when we started.
Yeah, that's right. But it should have started the beginning of the year in like January, right? And then it kept getting pushed because of that damn COVID.
Pesky COVID getting in the way of our violence. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, the pandemic, as they call it. Yeah.
Oh, that's another podcast.
Yeah. That's gonna get me.
That's gonna get you in trouble.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to have a little disclaimer on this one.
Yeah.
Anyway. So that's how we met. So I guess my first question going into this, was that your first introduction to martial arts?
It was my first ever introduction to martial arts in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Before going into Alta/Winter Warrior, I was aware of the UFC and I was aware of what it was because when I was in the height of my drinking days, Conor McGregor was the biggest thing in the world. So I was aware of it from an outsider perspective, but I had never participated in anything like that at all. I'd done a little bit of karate kempo when I was a kid, but I wasn't very good at it, so I was pulled out of that quite quickly. But yeah, it was my first ever exposure to anything of that caliber.
Yeah, so it's your first time participating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just in like a sentence or even a couple words, like overall, how did you find that program?
Terrifying.
Terrifying. Which is like overall, like after the fact. So it's said and done. How did you find it?
I found it very, very rewarding.
Yeah.
Very rewarding. Like the most rewards come out of the hardest jobs, in my opinion, right?
I agree.
And going through something like that was incredibly punishing at the time.
Yeah.
We were put through the ringer and and I remember just when it was all said and done, it felt like the biggest accomplishment that I'd ever done. I remember when I was going through my drinking days and my drug days, I was like, I remember talking to my therapist, and I was like, I want this like redemption, like I want to feel good again, and I want to like come through the other side, and I want to be great, and like that's literally what it done for me. Like, you know, I didn't know what level of hard it was going to be because I was that unfamiliar with. Like I remember talking to my brother who does jiu-jitsu, and he's been doing it for a couple of years, and I remember texting my brother and asking him what shoes I would need. It's done on a mat with no, like that's the level of unfamiliarity. So I was always familiar with working out, and I liked working out, and I liked putting my body through like pushing it physically, but I wasn't ready for that level of extremity in any way.
Yeah.
Like, and I think my body and my brain went into shock a little bit over what I was putting myself into. I remember we were there the first week, and we were just thrown straight in the deep end, and I remember being like, what the fuck have I done? Like, this is not what I signed up for. And then like, even when like I talk to competitors now going through Train Alta, and they're like, oh, it's so hard. My view is actually like, well, what did you think you were signing up for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've gotten to that point now.
You're fighting. The whole point of this is to fight each other.
Literally, yeah. I was like, I did be punched in the face. Like, I didn't know.
Yeah. Did you not see the brochure?
I actually did look up a couple of fights. Like, they had them on YouTube, I think from season 5 or 6, maybe like a couple of seasons back, and I remember just my brain like dissociating, like I wouldn't even recognize that I was going into this. And even when we were coming up to the fight, like our finale, people were like, how do you feel about it? And I was like, I don't feel about it. Yeah. Like, I'm just trying to not even like think about going in there.
I was kind of the same way. Like it didn't, for me, like it didn't really, even though, like, you know, even on fight day, it didn't even, what am I trying to say? Like, I didn't even think about the actual fight until the door to the cage had shut. And then I'm like, oh shit, like, all right, you know, we're doing this now. And then that's when it kind of all became real. You know, everything was, it was all, you know, it's all theater, you know, until right then and there. And then it was the real deal. And then suddenly, you know, crowd, you could see the crowd around, you know, around the cage, and everyone's hooting and hollering. And yeah, that's the first time it became real, was right there as soon as they shut the gate.
That was the same with me. Like, I swear to God, I could hear that door lock, and it felt like it was amplified times 10. It was like, and I couldn't see. Well, like I could see the crowd obviously, but it's almost like a vacuum went on. Like it was just me and Chris, the gentleman that I fought, and I remember just my brain like going, "This is now." Like, it's the way that my brain works. It's very all or nothing. So I was like, "We need to do this now. This is it. This is the end. This is everything you've been working for the past 20 weeks. So just do the job. Do what, you know, you're being required to do in here."
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And I remember, like, because my fight went 3 rounds, and I remember the second round, we didn't know if it was going to go to a third or not. And then they said, we're going to a third round, we have 10 seconds. And I remember turning to Gustavo going, like, please don't make me do this. Like, please don't make me go back in. Like, I was ready to, like, hand the fight to Chris and be like, just take it. Like, I don't want it. It's fine. Like, I've had enough. I'm done. And then obviously, like, yeah, I was like, then I think Gus said something to me like, it's 3 minutes of work. It's just 3 minutes. And then I was like, okay, it's just 3 minutes. And then it'll be over and it'll be done. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really, really cool.
Okay, so you found the whole process to be very rewarding. Now, a lot of people, when they're doing this type of thing, I guess a lot of people, when they go into something that's going to be this difficult, they're usually searching for something. And I've so far, of everyone I've interviewed that has partaken in this particular program, they've all kind of been either kind of going through something or searching for something or just trying to achieve something, not necessarily a win on fight night, but like trying to achieve something. Now, is that something similar for yourself, or what were your reasons for wanting to to kind of do this? Because I don't think a lot of people really just kind of on a whim decide they want to become a fighter or something. Certainly that is the case for some folks. So.
So I think the reason, I know the reason why is that I wanted to do it was that I was an addict and I was drinking very heavily and I was taking a shitload of cocaine. Are we allowed to curse on this show, by the way?
Say whatever the fuck you want.
Thank you. Fuck yeah. I loved cocaine more than anything in the whole entire world, and my world was very small and very hollow.
Okay.
And I was just sitting at home, like drinking and doing lines all the time. And this stemmed from abuse in my childhood, and then I was raped at the age of 17, and that just like kicked off this whole chain of events. And then I was in nightlife for a couple of years. In a previous life I was a DJ, I was working in clubs, and I got into that in order to drink more and just have access to all these party drugs. And it all came to a head. It was Christmas 2020, and then like on top of the pandemic, I went on this like 3-day bender and just like nearly drank myself to death. And I remember being like, I need something that's gonna like push me out of my comfort zone and focus on myself in a non-selfish way. Like, I need to be able to do something good for myself and my body. And my brain working the way that it works, I was like, I need to think of the most extreme thing that I can do. And coming from a background of like childhood abuse and rape and sexual violence, for me to go into a situation where someone is touching me or injuring me in a way, like it's like a trigger.
Yeah.
It upsets me. It back away. It's like abort. So putting myself into a situation like that in order to push myself through was probably the biggest reason, I think.
Okay.
It's all kind of like a vicious circle, I drink because I got abused as a child, and then I got raped, and then like this causes this and this causes that. So in order to break that chain of command, I had to throw myself into a situation where like I had to just be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I had to be really vulnerable. And when you're in a situation where like you're an addict or whatever, like a lot of stuff that you do, to me, was a self-defense mechanism. It's very closed off, what I mean? And when you're under the influence of all that kind of stuff, you're not really being you're being something under the influence of whatever chemical you're on. So it came to a point where I had to just throw myself into something, and I knew I had to be sober in order to do it, because like I couldn't be hungover all the time, and we had the early starts, getting up at 5-6 in the morning, so I had to be disciplined. And discipline was a really big thing for me as well. I was a mess. Like, I had no discipline whatsoever. Like, I'd cancel on people all the time because I was too hungover, I was out late, I wasn't doing good at my job, my whole life was just in total shambles. So in order to just get myself to focus on one thing, I knew that this was a full-time commitment. It's 5 days a week. So I thought that it would put me in a space where I'd be able to focus on the things that I really, really wanted as well, which was to just get better. And what way to get better than doing a sport which commands you in order to be present and doing physical exercise and having to take care of your body. You know what I mean? That was a really big thing for me as well, was being able to take care of myself, because I wasn't really taking care of myself when I was an addict. I was just drink all the time, and I wasn't just even like from like a hygiene point of view or like doing things that were good for me, I wasn't taking care of myself. So I knew going into it I would have to like take care of myself in the sense where I had to look after my body and look after myself and look at what I was putting into it, and all that other stuff was just off the table. So that was a couple of reasons. Yeah,
quite a few good reasons, I think.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say, it's terrible that you had to deal, to kind of go through those traumatic events.
Yeah.
It looks, outside looking in, it certainly looks as if, you're kind of on the other side of it, and I really hope so.
Yeah.
And this, do you credit this program to kind of being the reason, or, or just like kind of really maybe a driving factor in kind of being the reason to being, clean and sober today?
I would credit the program for sure. Like that was the starting point, and I don't think anyone can ever forget the starting point. Obviously now it's become so much bigger than just like, what the program was, what Alta was. You know what I mean? I've done 2 seasons of it. I went back again after doing the second season, and then I became a mentor on the mats, helping people through the program themselves. And then I have, I went on to become a strength and conditioning coach as well, and now I coach Fridays as well in Alta, which is great. So like it was definitely the starting point, and if I hadn't have gotten into MMA and jiu-jitsu, I don't like to think where I would be.
Right.
You know what I mean? I really don't like to think where I would be.
How difficult was it for you to kind of maintain sobriety through the course? Like, was it just like, did you have like a few slips here and there, or was it just from day one you were able to maintain something? Or
it was a little bit difficult at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
My routine would basically be like come home on a Friday and like stay drunk and high like till Sunday.
Yeah. I guess so you're probably drinking every day?
I wasn't drinking every day, but I was drinking, I'd say, about 3 or 4 times a week. But once I started, I couldn't stop.
Gotcha.
That's what my problem was. So some people like need a drink in the morning when they wake up and they continuously top up throughout the day. That wasn't me. I was a binger.
Gotcha,
when I was a hardcore binger. So like once I had one drink, it was like I was like, no matter what the situation was, or no matter what the occasion was, it would start and it would stop.
Was it like the drug uses kind of, they just went hand in hand? Was it kind of the same thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They went hand in hand. So like someone used to tell me that when I got to like my 3rd drink, it would be like you could see like a switch going off in my brain, and next thing like I had my dealer on speed dial. Like, you know what I mean? Like
really?
I could like get that shit delivered to my house in 5-10 minutes.
Wow.
Easy. Like, and that's what made it so hard to stop, is because I knew it was so
accessibility.
Yeah, exactly. Like it would take me longer to walk to the store to get a bottle of wine than it would take for him to get to my house. Like,
wow.
Yeah. So like in terms of maintaining it, it was okay. It was fine. I knew that I had other bigger things to think about. I did have a slip after the first season ended.
Yeah.
So it was actually in the February, I think, because I thought once I went through the program and I'd done everything, I'd gotten my reward basically. So I said, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm good. I can go back to doing what I was doing." And then you realize it doesn't actually fucking work that way.
Yeah.
So I started having another drink here and there, and then I went to UFC in London with my brother, and I just went on like an absolute like rager. And I remember I came home from whatever party I was at in London. I ended up at some random party, and I came back from the party, and I had a flight to get at like 11, and it was like 12 maybe, and I got into the hotel at like 6. And I remember like sitting in the airport, and I was like, it felt like my soul had just like dropped from my body.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just can't go through this again. And that was the day before my 2nd season of Alta. So I literally went back into Alta like the very next day. It was like going back to rehab. Like,
yeah.
I was like straight back in.
Is that why you went into? Is that why you did it a second time?
I had already I'd been flirting with the idea of going back a second time, because even like the first time was so punishingly hard. But I felt like the second season was due to start in March, I think, and I'd started drinking in February, and I was like, maybe I should go back and try this again and see if it sticks. So it was like half and half. I'd already been flirting with the idea, but then the way that my drinking was going, I was like, maybe this is a good idea. And I haven't drank since then.
No. So how many days, months, weeks?
14 months, I think now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
congratulations.
Thank you so much. But like I remember when I went into my first season of Alta, I was like, it's either this or rehab.
Yeah.
And Alta was cheaper. I was like, I'm going to be there 5 days a week anyway, so, why not? I think the rehab was like 5 or 6 grand or 7 grand. Ooh. Yeah. Not American money now, which I know is like 100,000 a pop or something if you're lucky.
It definitely depends.
Definitely depends, but so I chose that instead.
Yeah. No, first of all, like I said, congratulations. I think it's awesome, and I know like a lot of folks struggle with it, and I think I think it's more common than, maybe what we perceive it to be, because I think everyone probably has a first-hand experience of someone who is either dealing with or who has struggled with, some sort of, addiction to, some sort of illicit, drugs or alcohol or anything really, and just off the top of my head, I can think of at least 4, like people that I know, and unfortunately 2 of them aren't around anymore. So sorry. It's tough. And I think it's fantastic that you basically kind of able to overcome it, and you're able to use this program in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's just so many different, like everyone has their different ways about it. Like I went to AA. Yeah. I went to Alcoholics Anonymous. Done like what I think was like 40 meetings in like 40 days. Oh, wow. And like, first of all, like disclaimer, like no offense to anyone who uses this program as their tool. I think if it works for you, that's absolutely wonderful and brilliant, but it wasn't for me in any way whatsoever. I was like, I remember like being in a meeting one day and I was like, all of you are fucking insane. Like, I need to go. I tried Cocaine Anonymous as well. And a lot of them are very like, they say it's not religion based, but in my view, it was religion based. But once again, if that works,
theological at very least.
Spirituality, yeah. So they say like you need a higher power in order to succeed. But that higher power could be anything. Like that this doorknob could be your higher power as long as you're relying on that to get you through. But for me, the way my brain works, like I need like something physical in order to like keep my mind busy. Like relying on my mind alone isn't necessarily something that I could always do. So I needed to go like physically do it, and that's what I loved about the program in MMA and the sport in particular, is that like there's always something to keep my mind busy. Like there's always something like new to learn, and it keeps my body busy as well. So it works in tandem, which is great. But I went to like Cocaine Anonymous, that didn't work either. And then I flirted with the idea of going to rehab as well to see if like going away for a month would try and fix me, or try and make me better, or whatever you want to call it. But I think if I'd left, maybe I just would have gone back to the same old thing. Yeah. So
now, like, which of the 2 were harder to kick, or was it easy? Or I don't want to say easy, but was it like the alcohol or the cocaine? Was it kind of easy to do them both, or to get rid of them both at the same time, or?
Well, I never done cocaine sober.
Okay.
Like I never done it sober. It was only when I was drinking.
Okay.
Like, so kicking the alcohol was much harder than kicking the drug, and because I knew that if I didn't start drinking, then the other one wouldn't come after. But I think the issue with kicking alcohol in particular is that like our country is just so washed with it. Like no matter where, like you get off the plane in Dublin Airport and you see like a big thing for like Guinness and James, and like it's impossible to get away from. Yeah. And now we're lucky that you have
a whole tourism industry built up.
Literally a whole tourism industry based around drinking. And even when you, as I said, like when you get off the plane, you just see it everywhere. And I think no matter what occasion it is as well, in particular, like there's always a time for it, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but now like bars have gotten very good with having non-alcoholic options. Like most bars I go to would have a non-alcohol option available, whether it's a Heineken Zero or a drink on tap. And like it does get easier as time goes on, but that's the only thing you have to give it is time. Yeah. Like it's literally like a day-by-day process.
I have done a few difficult things in my life, and I can't imagine, like I said, just having firsthand experience with others who have had addictions, and a couple of them have kicked it, and it gets tough for sure. And like, again, I just...
Thank you.
Seriously, like, 'cause I know it's not easy.
No, it's not, because it's ripping away a world of everything that you know.
It's your safe space.
Literally,
even,
right?
Especially if you've been through something, traumatic. Like it's taken away your safe place. Yeah. And
what I always used to say was, or what I still say, is that like when it would always like turn down like the sound in my head. You know what I mean? My brain is always running constantly. And it would always turn down and just make me forget about anything that I'd been through. And it's not that I wasn't happy necessarily with who I was unhappy with the way that I was feeling all the time.
Yeah.
So when you put something like that into your body, it just dulls everything and it puts you in a safe space. And then you get to like the 10th drink and like you're at like a gaff party at like 8 a.m, like still hoofing lines, being like, what the F am I doing here? You know what I mean? And it becomes like a miserable existence at that point. So there's a tipping point for it where it makes you feel good, and then you're just relying on it because it's all you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so Alta, overall rewarding, clearly.
Yeah.
You know, so now you had mentioned before that you are now a PT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So decided to do a PT course.
Sorry, is that something you had, you know, previous thoughts about? You know, maybe even before, you know, kind of the whole Alta thing, or is this something that just kind of is because of, you know, your completion of the program?
I felt like it was just a natural evolution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I felt like that it was a great way to help others become the best version of themselves that they can be.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to pay it forward in any regard that I could. Like, I got so much help during my original season with you and to my second season as well. And I knew that I wasn't able to become a jiu-jitsu or MMA coach just yet.
Okay.
So I was like, maybe there's another way that I can still keep people moving, you know, like literally and figuratively. And then I had signed up for that. That was back in January. And I recently completed it. And then I was helping coach on Fridays in Alta, which is the strength and conditioning morning. And I was a little bit afraid about how it was going to go and how it was going to make me feel, because I was also like, who the fuck am I to tell these people like what they should be doing or what they can be doing? And then I was like, no, I am that person, because I've been through that fire and I've been in their shoes and I've been that person on the mat, maybe thinking, oh, I can't do this or I'm not capable of this. And I'm the person to tell you that you can. You know what I mean? And it was just a great seed into helping making people feel good and, as I said, wanting to pay it forward.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, you know, who maybe are struggling with like self-doubt, you know, and they're doing something difficult like this, just to have someone kind of say, like, no, like, you can do this. You just, you know, you had like you said with Gustavo in your fight, it's 3 minutes of work. You know, that maybe help put it in perspective a little bit for you. You know, it's, yes, you can do this. Just do it. Or, you know, try to. The encouragement is, you know, I don't think a lot of people get the kind of encouragement that they need, or maybe they don't. Maybe they're not surrounded by people who would otherwise give that to them. You know, so it's they struggle with trying to, you know, accomplish anything really. You know, whether it be, you know, weight loss or addiction or anything, you know, it's certainly helpful to have someone who can say, yes, you can, when all they can think is, no, I can't.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk to someone, like a question that I love asking people when they say something like, I can't do this or I can't do that, I'm like, says who? Who is telling you this? Because if you want me to go talk to them, I'll talk to them. And then they'll go, oh, it's me. And I'm like, oh, so it's me that has to talk to you. What's that? That's called being a coach.
Yeah. So
seeing people get in the way of themselves is the worst thing in the world, because it's a barrier to so many possibilities. You know what I mean? Coming from a background like myself where I didn't know anything about MMA, anything about it, and I literally showed up every fucking day, regardless of how I felt, what, like, you know, he was telling me what, and most of the time it was myself telling me what, that you can't do this or you can't do that. So I just hate the idea of someone standing in their own way, because the only one ever standing in your way is you. Like, that's like it, like 96% of the time. And you're right about your point earlier on about Gustavo, like, you know, it was the last 3 minutes of that program. And he was still there going,
you can do this.
You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Shout out to Gustavo, by the way, one of the best dudes in the world.
100%.
So I was like, now that I had gotten it, I was like, I want to make someone feel that way, because throughout my life, I felt like I never really had much I wouldn't say encouragement, but I never really was my own cheerleader, and I felt like no one else was really cheerleading me on either. The club scene can be quite hollow and transactional. You know what I mean? Like, you're there to do a job, you're giving away a serious amount of energy all the time, and while you're getting energy back, if you're doing a performance like a DJ performance, like it's very like how do I say this? It can be great to feed off it, but like when you come down from all of that, you can feel quite depleted. So I needed something in a more constructive manner, and I knew that I wanted to do it. So
that's great. So how long was the course? First of all, what course did you attend? Where was it?
So it was in a place called Elite Fitness Performance.
Okay.
Elite Fitness and Performance Academy, which is out in Blackrock. It's a 13-week course part-time, so it was every evening on Tuesday and Thursday for about an hour or 2 hours online, and then you do a full day in the gym on a Saturday. So that was from about 10 until 4. It's actually the same course that Sean Fitt's done.
Yeah, that SPG.
Yeah, SPG, yeah. So that's where I got the inspiration from.
Very good. So what? So now that you've completed it, what are your aspirations to do now? Like, when are you opening your gym?
Hashtag Crucible coaching coming to a gym near you. I don't know yet. I haven't really decided. I'm still coaching Fridays at Alta.
Okay.
Which is a great starting point. I do want to get to a point where I start taking clients, but I've been so busy with Alta and mentoring the past 2 years that I think when the next season ends, I'm probably going to start preparing for another fight. I want to start entering a couple of jiu-jitsu competitions as well, because I haven't really had much time to compete.
Okay.
So I think the PT the PT clients and training will come in its own time. Yeah. Further down the line, I think, for sure. Right. Yeah.
That's great. Just keep rolling with it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you just went on speaking of the jiu-jitsu and wanting to do that more, you were just in Portugal for a jiu-jitsu retreat.
I was a jiu-jitsu. You make it sound so fancy. A jiu-jitsu retreat.
Did they meet you with like champagne and canapes?
No, they meet you with boogie chokes and
What was that? What gym did you go to?
So it was a place called Shinobi Mixed Martial Arts, which is in Lagos. It's run by a guy called Colin, and he was fantastic. And it was run by an academy called Silverback, which are based in Wexford, and they have one in Dublin as well, in Newcastle. So a couple of the coaches from there put it on, and then it was just wonderful. Like, being able to train in that environment so you do 2 classes a day. You would do one in the morning, it's from like 10:30 to 12, I think, and then you would do one in the evening from about 4 to 5:30, 6, I think, and you would maybe do something a little in between them. Like you would jump into the sea or you go do a run, but it was just wonderful with being in a place with so many different people and so many different belt rankings, and the environment of being in a bubble as well, where I didn't have to worry about my day-to-day life, you know, which can sometimes pose as a distraction from coming to class or going from class. You know, you go to class and you're straight back into whatever you're doing in your day. So it was really, really good to learn in that environment, and the weather was like beautiful. It was like 29 degrees, and I felt like I learned a whole bunch, which was awesome. Yeah.
Now, how many people were there?
I think there was about...
I've seen pictures. Is it good couple dozen?
Yeah, it was pretty busy. I think it was maybe about 25.
Yeah?
Yeah, about 25.
Everyone... Certainly not everyone was Irish.
Not everyone was Irish, no. There was a whole bunch of... I think everyone there was based in Ireland.
Oh, really?
Possibly. Maybe 1 or 2 people weren't. I think some people came from Poland, possibly, or maybe somewhere over that way. But I think most people were based in academies in Ireland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which ones?
I wasn't gonna say. No, I was just saying like that. That's great. I'm jealous.
You gotta go.
I want to go. I'd love to do one.
You gotta go. Who do I talk to make you go?
My wife.
Oh, Alison, I'm coming for you.
We need a babysitter. We need a lot of things.
You can pay for those things.
Yeah. What I really want to do is I want to go to Thailand to do. Fuck you, man.
I'm doing that in December.
All right, we're gonna end this now. No, good. You're always okay. So like the last month, you're always traveling. You're always doing something. What you were just in Disney,
I was.
jerk. And I like Disney. I want to take my kids there, but in a little bit of time because they're still young. Then you were Portugal and then Spain before that. Fuck you.
This is what happens when you have no kids and a shitload of disposable income. From giving up drink, like literally, like I think my drinking and drug habit cost me about like easy about like €400 a week. Like
wow,
easy.
Really?
Yeah, easy.
Damn.
So you got, it turns out you got a shitload more money when you give up all these things that are bad for you.
I'll say years ago in my early 20s, I used to consider myself like a professional alcoholic because I would pretty much like I was a very high functioning. And the reason why I kind of got off it, I wouldn't say I necessarily had an issue, like a problem. It's just, it was the sociable thing to do with the people that I was around. So I used to be in the military and everyone drinks in the military. And then that is how you have fun. And like, it much like Ireland, like there's an issue, with, alcohol being the kind of like the thing that everyone does, like the same thing, like there is an issue with it in the military. But at the time, like I said, it was a sociable thing, so that's what I just blew all my money on that. And when I got out and I came home, I kind of had to stop because I had no money.
Yeah, see, that's where you and I differ, is that I would find the money somehow, one way or another. But there's also a fine line between being wild in your 20s and doing what everyone does in their 20s. True. Which is like, go out, have fun, stay out all night, and then... Oh, no,
I was pretty reckless. Like, I was every night, 2 hours of sleep, show up, possibly. I'm beyond statute of limitations. Yeah, I was like still drunk, showing up to work, and I mean, to be fair, like the whole shift was, so and I was working directly with planes and stuff like that. So we were like loading and unloading planes. Possibly, we could still blow numbers. I think.
Hope not from the military.
Whatever. I think I'm beyond statute of limitations. So and I'm out of their jurisdiction. I don't give a fuck.
Beautiful.
Anyway, like it was an issue, but I think it was a cultural issue as well. And like I said, I was drinking pretty much every day. I think like once a month we might take 2 or 3 days off just to calm down and recuperate. And definitely around payday. Yeah. Just before payday, we have to take a break. But like I said, I don't necessarily think I had an issue with it, but everyone says that, I think. Maybe.
Like it's really hard to confront something like that. Like first of all, thank you for sharing that. Second of all, like some people would turn to me and go like, you have a problem, and I'd be like, what the fuck? Like I'm like, how dare you say those things? It's very hard to go, I think this is something I possibly need to look at. You know what I mean? And most people will look at it from a view like, oh, like I need it for my health, or I need it because money, like they'll try, it's kind of like an external reason versus going, I'm fucked and I really need some help. Yeah. So, but as I said, like it seems like you grew out of it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it was, and like I certainly don't want to, make it sound like I had a similar issue to yourself, or like what I mean. Like I'm not trying to.
Yeah, but there's also not like there's not like levels, like there's not like, oh, my addiction is more important than yours. Like that's not like, if you have a problem or you had issues with it, then you had some fucking issues with it. You know what I mean? Like this whole like white knighting of like, oh, you're not an addict enough. Like that's that's horseshit. That doesn't make sense.
I do remember one of the things I had said, and mind you, this is all when I was younger. Is like I said that like I say drink and drive. In my head, drink and drive meant like I won't be drunk and drive. And then I remember I did that once. And I remember after that, I'm like, maybe I should calm things down. Because it was like, and it's crazy. Like, I remember even now thinking about it, it wasn't necessarily that I was worried about like, injuring anyone. I was more so worried about like the monetary effect of it. Like if I got pulled over, like, and where I lived, that's the minimum, on average, minimum 10 grand that it's going to cost you between, like your car being impounded and lawyers, jail, all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't have that. Like, it's just not worth it. So, now, like, it was that's helped or kind of made me reassess maybe how often I drink. I don't necessarily think it made me stop. Well, it didn't make me stop, but it made me think about maybe when.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of...
the appropriate time. Yeah. Like, you can have different outlooks on it, I guess. You know what I mean? You can go, well, I don't want to do this because this might happen. You know what I mean? Like, what's the cost, I guess? You know what I mean? What's the cost of things? For you, that might have been, oh, I don't have the money to pay for this, or I don't have the money to pay for that. So everyone looks at it differently.
No, and now, like, I don't drink at all. And it's not that I don't, because I certainly, the last time we hung out, like, I had a couple.
I was just supposed to be like you.
But, like I don't, like, I have a cabinet at home that's full of booze that I don't drink. And it's just, like, one, I don't like to drink at home, unless, I guess, I was with people. That was the other thing, is, like, I don't drink alone. And then when I kind of found myself drinking, like, you know, more than one. Like, I might have a beer with, like, dinner or something like that when I was living by myself. But, like, I wouldn't drink a lot by myself. And, you know, there's once or twice where I found myself doing that. And I'm like, oh, okay, reassessing things. But now I have kids. And ever since kids, I really haven't drank much at all. And then it was, like, a friend of mine's 40th. I got really bad. Like, I was thrown out of Whelan's. And,
oh my God, you were not thrown out of Whelan's.
I was.
That's a really low class. That's really.
I wasn't thrown out. I was asked to leave.
Oh, okay. So you were asked to leave. Okay,
there's
right. So that's way less shameful than being thrown out. Yeah.
And like, I was just, you know, to be fair, I had, like, unofficially broken my toe at the time. And this is around our finale.
Oh my God.
And so I was, like, self-medicating because I had, like, some leftover painkillers because my toe was fucked.
Oh my God.
Like, my whole thing was like, I really should have went to the doctor. But, like, my thinking is if I do that, they're not going to let me fight. So I just, like, screw it. Like, I'll just deal with it. And this was, like, 2 weeks before. No, I think maybe it was a month before. And it's like, I'm just not risking it. So I'm like, it's my toe. What are they going to do? Like, they can't really do anything.
No, I never caught my toes being checked.
Well, what had happened is I went to go, I threw a kick, and the person had moved, and I hit their knee.
When was this? Was this during training? Like,
this is during training.
Okay.
And I hit their knee, and, like, I felt it right then and there. But, you know, I kept going and everything. But anyway, like I said, I remember going home, and it was like, I think it was like that weekend I had to go out to this 40th. And I'm like, I can't walk on it. So I'm like, the only way I'm going to get through this is, like, I had some leftover, like, good painkillers from, like, a year or two prior. And I'm like, all right, time for you guys to come up. And I remember telling myself, and even I told Allison, my wife, going into this, like, all right, I'm not going to drink that much. And I think I had, like, a beer or two, and I'm like, I can't walk. So, like, I had, like, 2 or 3 of them with me, and I took one. And that led to me, like, because that really messed me up. And you shouldn't be taking basically opiates and alcohol together. And that was a mistake. Because, like, so then you end up getting thrown out of Whelan's.
Low rent. That's a really good point, though, about you were saying you weren't going to drink like during the program. I remember. So
it was the next day. I think it was like the next day or the next couple. Like we had to go somewhere. I can't remember. It was like a christening or something, and I couldn't go. And I remember. That's a different time. Never mind.
It's the opiates, people. It's the opiates. But I remember, like, during my season, I think we would be in the gym on a Monday, and people would be like, oh, what did you do on the weekend? And they were like, oh, I was out all night. Like, you know, I was out all weekend on the bag, and I'm wrecked. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, coming from someone who, like, would go anywhere high or drunk, I was like, I can't even imagine, like, even being the least little bit hungover during a program.
I don't think I drank.
Although during my sorry to interrupt. No, during my intro class, I was really hungover. Yeah. Because it was my birthday the night before. It was my 30th birthday, and I remember I had lots of people over, and I remember it was about, I think the class was at like 10, and it was about maybe 1 or 2, and I was like, I should probably like go to bed. You know? But I remember being on the mat, and like we were asked to like fucking tumble or something, and I was like, if this isn't a sign if this isn't a sign
that I need to quit,
that I need to just maybe take a look around, it's a sign.
No, what was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying. I'm gonna edit this part out.
You were talking about the first thing before I interrupted.
No, I don't remember what I was saying. It's fine. Oh, sorry. What I was saying before, like during the program, I don't think I drank at all with maybe 2 exceptions, but only a couple. Like I was never drunk. I might, like I said, I would be a very not casual drink. Like I would drink with food, or have something with food.
That's just called being a responsible drinker.
Okay, yeah, I was responsible, I guess. Like
not a word that generally.
Because I do like beer. You know what I mean? Like it's great. But I'm confident in when I say that I think that was the only night that I had kind of went crazy, and I blame opiates for that.
Yeah, like the rest of 50.
Thanks, Pfizer.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Don't get me started on the Sackler family. We got.
I'm gonna edit that part out.
Yeah, well, take that part out.
To be fair, it's not even a Pfizer product that I was taking. I'm just gonna say that.
It was probably the Sackler family. They made OxyContin.
I don't need probably
somewhere in that poppy sphere.
Just tramadol is what I was taking.
Oh, tramadol. Okay, right.
Yeah,
tramadol. That's a hardcore.
Yeah,
that's hardcore. Yeah. Diphene is the big one you want though. Diphene, yeah. It's the one that you can shove up your bum, and it gets you high faster, and it lasts for longer. It lasts for like 16 hours.
I don't need to be drunk or high that long.
And you think that, and then it happens, and you're like, oh, that was the best day ever. I got it once after an operation. They asked me if I wanted to orally anally. I was like, that's not the first time I've been asked that question. But I was like, shove it up my bum, and I was on a roll all day. I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Okay, on that note, sorry, so just to transition here, you're gay?
Yeah.
I assume openly.
Openly, yeah. Shocking.
You are now.
Thanks, Kearney.
How do you feel about, like, has that been an issue at all, like training with anyone? Because, I'm not gonna. I don't mean this in a bad way, but like it's not inobvious that, you know what I mean, that you're gay. Yeah. But like does that ever pose an issue? Like, have you ever had like any negative interactions?
I have had negative interactions, not with anyone that I've trained with, but with what I would consider the fan base, I guess. Fan base of MMA. So this is a great interesting point that you raised, because I remember before I went into Alta and Victoria, homophobia was a really big concern of mine. And I remember walking in on the first day, and first of all I was like, oh my god, like these are just like, it was my own unconscious bias, I want to make that clear. And I was like, oh my god, these are not my people, and like, I don't know how people are going to react to me here. And then I remember like working with people, and I was like waiting for it to come up in one way or another, and no one ever raised it. And then a part of me was like, oh my god, why is no one like bringing up this thing? Like, why is no one like talking about this? Like, I thought I was going to not be well received here. And then everyone was so welcoming and loving, and the staff in the gym are great, all the coaches are great, and no one ever brought it up in any way whatsoever. So then I felt like I really found a community and a home. And then I remember there was an incident like during my second fight where like like slurs were thrown at me.
Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, really. I'm not
but like by the crowd or
by the crowd. Yeah, someone called me a faggot.
Wow.
To my face.
That's intense.
Yeah, literally right before I was about to fight. And then there was like Nate Kelly who was cornering me, and Aiden was cornering me, Aiden Fagan, and they said that they were kind of continuously being thrown at me throughout the fight. It's something that's come to a little bit more prominently, I think, especially with like Jeff Molina coming out in the UFC. Like he came out as bisexual only because someone had leaked a video of him. Only someone had leaked a video of him being intimate with a man. So I always knew that this could have been a threat or it could have been an issue, but I'm pleased to report that it's like a really small percentage. Like, it's a really small minority of people.
Really?
But the issue is as well is that I don't want to justify that like it's okay, because it shouldn't be okay. It should be zero.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I mean?
for sure.
Now, we're very, like, obviously very lucky to have, like, we've lots of lesbians in, like, you know, MMA and combat sport. We have, like, Molly McCann, you know, Amanda Nunes, like, so many people who are high profile. But in terms of gay men, I don't think I've actually ever met another gay man who does MMA. I don't think I have.
No.
No, I think I was the only gay in the village for a very long time. But then again, like, you know, sexuality in particular is, like, it's something that people can keep to themselves. Not everyone has to be out, you know, like,
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you know, it's someone's prerogative whether they want to do that or not. So there could be people there. We just don't know about them yet. And their time will come when they are ready to do so and when they feel comfortable. But in terms of me, I think my presence is very important. I think we need to normalize this, because I don't want anyone's sexuality being a barrier to any sport that they want to get involved in. Of course, we have rampant homophobia in many different sports. It's not just MMA. We have football, rugby, you know, it's across the board. But I don't want anyone to think that they can't go do this thing because of who they sleep with or because of who they love. What matters is what you're doing on the mats. What matters is your performance. What matters is your training. What matters is your dedication. Who you're sleeping with shouldn't come into any of those equations whatsoever.
I agree.
In any shape or form. And it's so important. And I would also love to see more queer people getting involved in it from a self-defense aspect as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
That was going to be my next question here.
Great. We still have so many homophobic attacks going on in this country and worldwide, and people should know how to defend themselves, like, just so they can diffuse a situation, not to incite violence in any way, but to make sure that they can diffuse and protect themselves and walk down the street feeling proud and secure and confident. Like, before this, I would be like walking down the street, you know, like huddled over, and you're like, don't look at me. And now I walk down the street holding my head high. And you look at bullies and people, cowards who attack people, look for, like, whatever's the easiest target. They're not going to go for someone who's confident walking down the street, minding their own business, because they know that they can't get anywhere.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, you know, I've really been able to, what I'm trying to say, that my confidence level, you know, from training, doing jiu-jitsu and MMA and everything, like that, my overall confidence level has, you know, skyrocketed. Now, I wasn't necessarily anyone who ever, I guess, really struggled with it, or maybe I should say I didn't necessarily realize I struggled with it until, you know, maybe until I did this, because now, like, I'm super confident now, you know, when it comes to just everyday life. You know, just being in public, being at work, public speaking, like that kind of thing. Nothing, I'm sorry, but like, there's very little that's scarier than standing in a ring against, you know, looking across, you know, at someone who wants to physically hurt you. Yeah. And is in a legal, or they're in a situation where it's legally acceptable for them to physically hurt you. Yeah. You know, so like there's not a lot scarier than that. And then to be able to accomplish that and come out on the other side of that has just, you know, really boosted my overall confidence level, even though, you know, maybe it's unwarranted, but, you know, it's
never unwarranted. I would not, like, that's putting yourself at a level already below what you've accomplished. You know what I mean? Like, it's never unwarranted in any way. And that's what I want for the gay community in particular. Like, we need more gay dudes in that cage, you know what I mean, kicking ass, showing what we can do, and showing that there's just so many different facets to.
Have you had anyone reach out to you specifically, and, you know, that may have been gay and was interested in what's going on? No,
sadly not. I don't know if it's just because it's a world that is so unfamiliar to them in general, but I don't think I've ever had anyone reach out to me and go, hey, this is something I want to do. Do you have any advice on it? I have spoken to a lot of gay people about it, and lots of people are interested, but I haven't seen anyone make the leap just yet.
All right. Yeah. Well, you heard it here first. Talk to your boy, Derek. All right, here, look, running out of time here. I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
I loved having you on here, and I want to have you back again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a date.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
This is awkward. All right.
Sweet. Thanks, babe.